Ever notice how everyone talks about AI like it's either magic or dangerous? But almost no one explains what it actually does. AI is everywhere now. It's in headlines, in apps, in conversations. And if you've ever thought, I kind of get it, but I don't really get it, that's completely normal. Today we're going to strip this down to the core. No coding, there's no technical jargon, just a clear mental model that you can use. Let's set sail. Let's start simple. Imagine you're teaching a kid what a cat is. You don't open a textbook and read a formal definition. You don't give them a checklist and say cats have whiskers, pointed ears, and fur. You show them pictures of cats. You show them real cats. You show them big cats, small cats, kittens, fluffy cats. And after enough examples, something clicks. They look at a new animal and say, that's a cat. It's not because they memorized rules, it's because their brain recognized the pattern of what a cat looks like. AI works the same way. So instead of giving a computer a strict checklist of rules, we give it enormous amounts of examples. Examples that are pictures, words, and sounds. And from those examples, it builds a model of patterns. And once it has that model, it can make predictions. And the difference between a person learning from experience and AI learning from data is the scale at which it happens. A child might see hundreds or maybe 1,000 cats in their lifetime, but an AI system will analyze millions of examples and do it in a very short amount of time. And that larger scale makes the predictions very strong. But at its core, it's still pattern recognition. And pattern recognition isn't just about animals. Your brain does this constantly. You recognize handwriting even if the letters aren't perfect. You recognize someone's voice even if the audio quality changes. That's all pattern recognition. AI does something very similar. It just does it mathematically and at a larger scale. It doesn't see or hear the way humans do, but it can detect patterns in data the way your brain detects patterns in experience. AI is simply pattern recognition plus prediction. That is all it is. It's not magic. So when you type into an AI chatbot, it isn't thinking about your question or your request the way a human does. It's predicting. It's looking at the words you've typed and calculates which word is most likely to come next. And then it generates that word. And then it predicts the next word and the next. All done very quickly. So if you type, the cat sat on the blank, there are patterns in the data that it was trained on. And the word mat appears thousands of times after that phrase. So statistically, mat is a strong candidate. That doesn't mean it understands the cat. It just understands what usually comes next in similar sentences. It's completing the pattern. And prediction sounds small, but it's very powerful because weather forecasts are predictions. Autocomplete in your phone is prediction. Navigation apps predict traffic flow. And AI systems extend that idea. They don't know the future. They just calculate likelihoods based on the past patterns. And when you string thousands of small predictions together and do it very quickly, you get something that feels intelligent. But underneath, it's all still probability. One reason it all feels human is because language is human. If something responds in full sentences with tone and structure, our brains naturally interpret that as intelligence. But fluency is not the same as understanding. A fluent response can still be generated purely from patterns, and that's what's important to remember. If you think about typing a text message on your phone and the message starts on my, then the autocomplete is going to suggest way, because you may have typed on my way 100 times, and people in general type on my way very often and very frequently. So those patterns are what AI is using to generate the next response. Again, on a much, much larger scale. And when you stop and think, AI is not something that's brand new. Email spam filters have used pattern recognition for a very long time. Autocorrect uses it, streaming service recommendation systems use it, but what changed is that AI became conversational. When for a long time it was living quietly in the background. You didn't talk to it, you didn't get to ask it any questions, but now you can open a browser or an app, type something, and get a full response back in regular plain language. And that shift from being an invisible system working behind the scenes to a conversational tool that you can interact with is what made it feel sudden. AI didn't suddenly wake up, didn't become conscious, it just became accessible. Now, there are a few misconceptions about AI. As I just mentioned, AI is not conscious. It is not self aware, it does not experience understanding, and it's also not automatically correct. It generates its responses based on probability, not on verified truth. AI is simply a tool. It is not a mind, and AI will sound confident. But confidence in language is not a guarantee. We all know humans who sound confident, but still are not correct. And because AI predicts likely wording, it may produce answers that sound correct, even when they're incomplete or wrong. So that's where the responsibility still belongs to humans. AI works great as a thinking aid, not as much as an authority. AI will sound confident, it'll sound persuasive, it'll even sound emotional, but those are patterns in language. I want to do a quick demo so you can see it in action. I have an article, and I'm going to ask it to summarize the article in 5 bullet points. That's it. Just one clear question. And within seconds, it compresses the information in that long article to something easier to scan. How did it do that? It recognized the patterns in the text, identified the key themes of the article, and predicted a shorter structure that still preserves the core ideas. That is all pattern recognition and prediction applied to language. So how about some practical uses? When you receive a long email, you may read through it and still not know exactly what it's asking me to do. So you may reread it 2 or 3 more times and still be confused. You can take that email and you can ask an AI to explain this in simpler language. Maybe you're writing an email draft and the message feels a little bit off. You can ask AI, make this a little clearer. You're not outsourcing your thinking. Your intent is still there. You're just reducing friction and using the pattern recognition powers of AI to make things clearer faster. So what I want you to remember is that AI is simply pattern recognition and prediction on a very large scale. It is not magic, it is not alive or conscious, and it's not perfect, but it is useful as a thinking aid and to add clarity to your work. And in the next video, we will talk about how to ask for what you want in a way that gets better results. So until then, I wish you smooth sailing.